I am reading the Duolingo Terms and Conditions of Service, so Spooky Green Bird doesn't come and steal me, kidnap me. Let's start. I'm going to read this in the most annoying voice ever. Terms of Conditions and Service. Number 1. General. Duolingo websites, mobile applications, apps, and related services, together with the websites and apps, the service are operated by Duolingo Inc. Duolingo, us, or we, access and use of the service is subject to the following terms and conditions of service. Terms and conditions. By accessing or using any part of the service, you represent that you have read, understood, and agreed to be bound by these terms and conditions, including any future modifications. Duolingo may amend, update, or change these terms and conditions. If we do this, we will post a notice that we have made changes to these terms and conditions on the website for at least 7 days after the changes are posted, and will indicate at the bottom of the terms and conditions the date these terms were last revised. Any revisions to these terms and conditions will become effective the earlier of the end of such 7-day period, or the first time you access or use the service after such changes. If you do not agree to abide by these terms and conditions, you are not authorized to use, access, or participate in the service. Please note that these terms and conditions contain a mandatory arbitration of disputes provision that requires the use of arbitration on an individual basis to resolve disputes in certain circumstances, rather than jury trials or class action lawsuits. View these terms here. I am not reading that. Number 2. Description of websites and services. The service allows users to access and use a variety of educational services, including learning or practicing a language. Duolingo may, in its sole discretion at any time, update, change, suspend, make improvements to, or discontinue any aspects of this service, temporarily or permanently. Number 3. Acceptable use of the services. You are responsible for your use of the services and for any use of the services made using your account. Our goal is to create a positive, useful, and safe user experience. To promote this goal, we prohibit certain kinds of conduct that may be harmful to other users or to us. When you use the services, you must comply with our community guidelines. Number 4. Additional terms. Some of our services have additional terms and conditions. Additional terms. Where additional terms apply to a service, we will make them available for you to read through your use of that service. By using that service, you agree to the additional terms. Number 5. Registration. In connection with registering for and using the service, you agree, to provide accurate, current and complete information about you and or your organization as requested by Duolingo. To maintain the confidentiality of your password and other information related to the security of your account. To maintain and promptly update any registration information you provide to Duolingo, to keep such information accurate, current, and complete. And to be fully responsible for all use of your account and for any actions that take place through your account. Number 6. Your representations and warranties. You represent and warrant to Duolingo that your access and use of the service will be in accordance with these terms and conditions, and with all applicable laws, rules, and regulations of the United States and any other relevant jurisdiction, including those regarding online conduct or acceptable content, and those regarding the transmission of data or information exported from the United States and or the jurisdiction in which you reside. You further represent and warrant that you have created or own any material you submit via the service, including activity materials and content, and that you have the right, as applicable, to grant us a license to use that material as you set forth above, or the right to assign that material to us as is set forth below. You represent and warrant that you are not, one, organised under the laws of, operating from, or otherwise ordinarily resident in the country or territory that is the target of the comprehensive U.S. economic or trade sanctions, i.e. an embargo. 2. Identified on a list of prohibited or restricted persons, such as the U.S. Treasury Department's list of specially designated nationals and blocked persons, or 3. Otherwise the target of the U.S. sanctions. Number 7. Submissions of content. As a condition of submitting any ratings, reviews, information, data, text, photographs, audio, clips, audiovisual works, translations, flashcards, or any other materials on the service, collectively content, you hereby grant to Duolingo a full-paid, royalty-free, perpetual, irrevocable, worldwide, non-exclusive, transferable, and sustainable license to reproduce, copy, adapt, modify, merge, distribute, publicly display, and create derived works from the content, incorporate the content into other works, and sublicense through multiple tiers the content. You acknowledge that this license cannot be terminated by you once your content is submitted to the service. You represent that you own or have secured all legal rights necessary for the content submitted by you to be used by you, Duolingo and others as described, and otherwise contemplated in these terms of and conditions. You will understand that other users will have access to the content, and that neither they or Duolingo have any obligation to you or anyone else to maintain the confidentiality of the content. You will not upload, display, or otherwise provide on or through the service any content that is libelous, defamatory, abusive, threatening, harassing, hateful, offensive, or otherwise violates any law or infringes upon the right of any third party, including copyright, trademark, privacy, publicity, or other personal or property rights. In Duolingo's sole judgment, is objectionable, restricts or inhibits any other person from using the service, or may expose Duolingo or its users to any harm or liability of any kind, or violates Duolingo's community guidelines. Number 8. Indemnification of Duolingo. You agree to defend, indemnify, and hold harmless Duolingo and its directors, officers, employees, contractors, agents, suppliers, licensors, successors, and assigns from and against any and all losses, claims, causes of actions, obligations, liabilities, and damages whatsoever, including attorney's fees arising out of or relating to your access or use of the service, any false representations made to us as part of these terms and conditions or otherwise, Your breach of any of these terms and conditions, or any claim that any translation we provide to you is inaccurate, inappropriate, or defective in any way whatsoever. Number 9. License to the apps. How long have I been recording? License to the app. Subject to the terms of these terms and conditions, Duolingo grants you a non-transferable, non-exclusive license to download, install, and use one copy of each app in object code form only on interactive wireless device that you own or control. You may not derive or attempt to desire the source code of all or any portion of any app, permit any third party to derive or attempt to derive such source code, or reverse engineer, decompile, disassemble, or translate any app in any part thereof. Duolingo and its licensors own and shall retain all intellectual property rights and other rights in and to the apps, and any changes, modifications, or corrections thereto. The following terms and conditions apply to you only if you are using the apps from the Apple Store. To the extent the other terms and conditions are to the extent the other terms and conditions of these terms and conditions are less restrictive than, or otherwise conflict with, the terms and conditions of this paragraph, the more restrictive or conflicting terms and conditions in this paragraph apply, but solely with respect to apps from the Apple App Store. You acknowledge and agree that these terms and conditions are solely between you and Duolingo, not Apple, and that Apple has no responsibility for the apps or content thereof. Your use of any app must comply with the App Store terms of service. You acknowledge that Apple has no obligation whatsoever to furnish any maintenance and support services. With respect to the apps, in the event of any failure of any app to conform to any applicable warranty, you may notify Apple, and Apple will refund the purchase price, if any, for the app to you, the maximum extent permitted by applicable law. Apple will have no other warranty obligation whatsoever with respect to the apps, and any other claims, losses, liabilities, damages, costs, or expensive attributable to any failure to conform and to any warranty we solely governed by these terms and conditions. You and Duolingo acknowledge that Apple is not responsible for addressing any claims of you or any third party relating to the apps or your possessions, and all use of any app, including but not limited to product liability claims, any claim that an app fails to conform to any applicable legal or regulatory requirement, and III claims arising under consumer protection or similar legislation. You and Duolingo acknowledge that, in the event of any third-party claim that any app or your possession and use of that app infringes that third party's intellectual property rights, Duolingo, not Apple, will be solely responsible for the investigation, defense, settlement, and discharge of any such intellectual property infringement claimed to the extent requirement by these terms and conditions. You must comply with applicable third party terms of agreement when using any app. You and Duolingo acknowledge and agree that Apple and Apple's subsidiaries are third-party beneficiaries of these terms and conditions as they relate to your license of the apps, and that upon your acceptance of these terms and conditions, Apple will have the right and will be deemed to have accepted the right to enforce these terms and conditions against you as a third-party beneficiary thereof. Don't mind me eating. I'm already regretting doing this. You know what? Best 2 out of 3. No, this under 25 is yes. Best 2 out of 3. Dang it. Yeah. Alright, I'll do the second half of this tomorrow. Bye-bye.